Well, it is finally here. The day has come, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday. Darth Vader number 11 just released this morning, and I couldn't be more excited to give you fans the comic that we have waited for, the comic we deserve, and boy oh boy was it a fully spectacular moment at the ending. What happened to Darth Vader, what he realized, what he got himself into. I mean, it's just a spectacular comic, all-encompassing. Some might be put off by the ending. It is kind of anticlimactic, but in the end, when you see all that happens towards that time, towards that journey, well, you will understand why that is the case. And I'm gonna be thorough in the explanation and kind of giving you the steps needed to take on what Vader actually realized towards the ending of this comic. Now, because this comic is so fully jam-packed, and literally I cannot make just one video off of this because it's going to be a 20-minute video to say the least. What I'm going to talk about today is something that Vader discovered on EXEGOL, something that we have waited for an explanation on canon for such a long time that I truly am very excited to bring you this into canon. A question that not a lot of people asked, but it was finally resolved. But yeah, be sure to tune in tomorrow as well because we're gonna have another video for this comic tomorrow. If you guys missed the preview and the ending of Darth Vader issue number 10, I'm gonna go through them quickly so that you guys can be fully up to date. In issue number 10, Darth Vader goes up against the Suma Verminoff and enters the Red Mist, surrounding EXEGOL, giving all these visions and flashes of Luke Skywalker actually defeating Darth Vader and joining Emperor Palpatine. Sort of a foreshadow for us fans knowing what will happen in Return of the Jedi, where Darth Vader basically will get sidelined for Luke Skywalker, the future Sith and the future apprentice of Darth Sidious, or at least that's how Palpatine plans it, and of course we all know that's not how the plans will pan out in the end. Whatever the case may be, Darth Vader has a rough landing on EXEGOL, and basically with his animal connection powers, he takes hold of the Suma Verminoff, which in turn leads him directly to Palpatine's Sith Citadel. Down there, Palpatine is just waiting for him, and even though there are crab-like creatures who attack Vader and the Suma Verminoff, the creature just crushes everybody in its path, and finally, Darth Vader has the highest ground imaginable. He has the high ground, and it is not an Obi-Wan high ground, mind you. This is a spectacular one. However, as we've come accustomed to seeing Darth Vader, he just cannot utilize the high ground for a long time. Either he does not have it or he does not know how to use it, because Palpatine, with a flick of his wrist, simply takes control of the Suma Verminoff for himself and wraps its legs around it. The Suma Verminoff is just helpless, and you can see that in this panel. Palpatine wants the creature to end it all, but Vader ignites his red blade and tells him that no, you must fight. Being stuck in the middle between Vader and Palpatine, the Suma Verminoff simply blows the hell up, and it just simply cannot contain both of their powers. A not-so-amused Palpatine asks Vader what you were saying before. Vader, with an ignited blade, approaches Palpatine. Before he could even speak, however, Palpatine turns around and enters the Sith Citadel. With Ochi of Bespin behind him, Vader does not skip a beat. He continues towards Palpatine's path, thinking that ultimately he could catch up to his master and end this once and for all. But all of a sudden, an emotional rush overcomes him. He is simply stunned. He even lets out a noise that hurts him. Now Palpatine goes in. There, he tells Vader, you sense it, don't you? You talk about fear, but even now, you forget where it all begins. With pain. Similar to his nephew Kylo Ren, Vader is walking among the statues of ancient Sith Lords who have come to pave the way for the modern Sith. Amongst all these carvings and statues, I am again so disappointed that we did not get to see the ancient Sith from thousands of years ago, such as Darth Revan, Darth Malik, and even Darth Nihilus. Now, I'm not saying this lightly, because if you remember my videos from some previous weeks ago, in The Rise of Skywalker, there is deleted scenes where Kylo Ren will see these ancient Sith on carvings inside the Citadel, but they were scrapped last minute, and I thought this comic would reintroduce those Sith Lords. However, the only time we get to see the ancient ruins inside the Sith Citadel is basically this shot that you see right here. The next panel goes on to reveal, of course, what we all expected, the Sith laboratory on EXEGOL that Palpatine is making full use of. And again, just like in Rise of Skywalker, it seems an early prototype of Snoke. They can even yell from inside, as you can see by the speech bubble. They really look like Snoke clones, although it is not outright confirmed. I do think that the Snoke creation started even from this point. This is nearing the timeline of Return of the Jedi. This is it, says Palpatine, the scalpel of creation. I used it to make all of these things. Vader is still stunned. He is speechless. He is not talking in the slightest. He is just watching in horror what Palpatine has created here, as a Snoke clone can be seen in the background, and all of a sudden, Vader comes upon a magnanimous moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Luke Skywalker's right hand that was cut off by none other than Darth Vader at the ending of the duel between him and Luke. You can tell it's the right hand by the thumb. The thumb is positioned in a way to tell us that this is Luke Skywalker's hand, although Palpatine and Vader do not outright mention it. Of course, do not outright mention it in this comic. It is very clearly Luke Skywalker's right hand that Palpatine is using to take off tissue and all sorts of things to create monsters, basically, as we're going to see in the next panel. Palpatine says to a stunned Vader who is looking at his son's hand, Palpatine says, "I can use it to make anything." Now, this comic just indicated, by all accounts, that Palpatine actually used Luke's hand to create Snoke clones. Again, nothing has been confirmed, but this is what it is insinuated here. Palpatine is actually telling Vader that he can make anything out of this hand, out of a Skywalker hand that was cut off by Vader. Whether that will be revealed in the future or not, right now the comic tells us that Palpatine used the hand to create these monsters that now are unleashed upon Darth Vader. Now, at first glance, these guys kind of look like the Tomb Guardians from Jedi Fallen Order, the enemies that you face, and they are definitely using electro staffs. The Sith assassin is baffled. He thought there were only 2 Sith. But these are not Sith, according to Darth Vader. But they could be, said Palpatine, should you fall. Further indicating that these types of clones that are now going up against Darth Vader are some sort of a early prototype of Snoke. But Darth Vader refutes that idea immediately by Palpatine because he will never fall, as these clones are now approaching the Sith Lord. They go on to have an amazing fight. Vader tries to hold his own against not 1, not 2, but 3 of these monster Sith clones. And while Vader defeats one, the other hits him in the back, and this crumbles the entire floor space where he falls down. One of the clones takes this opportunity to zap Darth Vader again, but in sheer might and power, Darth Vader, unfazed, slices him in half and impales the other with his lightsaber. "Well done, Lord Vader," says Palpatine, "but you seem weary." And at this moment, Vader realizes that there are heaps of Sith acolytes approaching him with no mercy. Palpatine tells Vader that there are so many others that wish to meet you. At this moment, it is not made clear whether these are Sith acolytes that just follow the teachings of Palpatine, or rather clones that were created from Luke's hand or any other variation. But again, for Darth Vader, this just didn't faze him at all. And I am so excited to show you this comic, the ending of this comic tomorrow. You gotta understand that this comic was so jam-packed that I could just not skip around on these parts and not talk about them in detail. Luke's hand has finally been revealed in canon, and if this is not exciting, then I don't know what is. Because in Legends, there is a story out there that shows Luke Skywalker's hand journeying from one end of the galaxy to the other, but ultimately the evil Sabaoth gets a hold of it, and out of it comes the clone of Luke Skywalker. It is actually quite a funny story that I hopefully will tell one day. Luke Skywalker goes up against Luke Skywalker with 2 U's, if I'm not mistaken, and Sabaoth is right in the middle of it. Kind of a mishmash of Palpatine character, but I'm so excited that in canon now we have sort of an explanation to Luke's hand, as we did in Legends lore. The ending tomorrow will be bombastic, so be sure not to miss that. If you watched this video entirely, be sure to subscribe as well, because the video will be coming up tomorrow. Guys, let me know what you thought about the first half of this comic and how did it hit you at first. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you. Until then.